Predator was directed by John McTiernan and stars Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dutch, who is on an elite rescue squad and is sent to a rainforest in the middle of Central America to rescue some hostages. But little does he know that there is an alien being in the middle of this forest who is stalking them and hunts people for sports and uses their remains and bones as trophies. This film is awesome. I loved pretty much every single minute of this film's runtime, and I'm going to start off with some positives. I love the musical score of this film. I love how it ties in to the suspenseful tone they're going for, but it also ties in really well when they're going for some really exciting and badass action sequences. It all works really well in this film overall. This is not only a great action flick, but it's also a really good suspenseful thriller. And that really shows with the visuals of this film. They use a lot of tracking shots with the alien stalking the humans, like with his night vision and how he's able to see humans through it. I love pretty much every aspect of that. And the visuals of this film are incredible. The way they make him look invisible in the middle of the film. Like, I don't know how they're able to pull that off in the middle of the 80s. And that's really respectable. By today's standards, some of these visuals may be really bad, but I've still got to really respect and admire what they were able to pull off for a film made in the late 80s. I also loved the use of sound design and cinematography. For one, sound design they used for the alien, where they would shift him between being invisible and actually being seen. That worked really well. The shots he made, that sound design worked really well. Even the gunshots, it sounded and looked very realistic. And the cinematography, the things like the lighting, I loved when they put more emphasis on certain characters' faces with the lighting, or when they made it look really realistic too. The camera angles worked really well with the POV tracking shots. I loved pretty much every aspect of this film from a visual standpoint. I also loved the casting of this film and the characters in general, especially Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Dutch. He is a great character, but also a great hero. You can tell when he's nervous because of how he sweats and when his facial expressions and everything. You can also tell when he's in a very bad position, when he's vulnerable. But at the same time, he still manages to be a really badass hero. And the action sequences are awesome. Any moment when he's on screen, I love it. And he has some really memorable one-liners too. What also makes him great as a hero here is he's actually smart. He finds new ways to trap him. He finds great getaway routes or great escapes in general. He's always finding new ways to get around him, or even knows when to be the aggressor here. His intelligence here is what constantly keeps this film going and what keeps him alive, which is so great about this film. An action movie is no better than its villain, and the Predator as a villain here delivers. You constantly feel on edge because you feel like he is in power. They cleverly use the tracking shots in here to give you a sense that he knows their next move, that he has control of the situation. That's what keeps you on edge. That's what builds the suspense of this film. And it all works so well here. It's such a great balance between the power of the hero and the power of the villain. Even when the Predator is in his worst position, you always feel like he's going to strike back with more vengeance and anger. Now, I do have some minor nitpicks with the film. For one, there was a pretty bad slow motion edit in one of the death scenes that felt pretty out of place. They're clearly using for shock value, and it just didn't work. I'm not going to go into spoiler territory, but there was one direction that they took with the alien, the Predator, in the final act that made him feel like less of an alien and less of a villain almost. It wasn't a major issue. It did not take away from the suspense and the raw action of this film. It was still enjoyable nonetheless, and this is an easy classic brought by a really talented director and a great cast too. I'm giving Predator a 10 out of 10. But as always, I hope you enjoyed this review. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you in the next video.